Hello and welcome to Living Simply and Fun. I've been watching a lot of anime lately, so I decided that I am going to do some reviews of the animes I've watched recently. Um, to begin with, and sorry if I butcher the Japanese for those who are particularly fond of the Japanese language and get all, well, upset if somebody says something wrong. I don't know Japanese, so the first one was Koi Suru Tenshi Angelique, or in English, Beloved Angel Angelique. It's based off a video game series, and it's a reverse harem style. I wouldn't really call it a harem style, but perhaps if you wanted to. I've seen the first 12 episodes. It centers around this girl, Angie, and the queen of the galaxy and 9 guys who are embodiments of the spirits or the guardians of the basically the energy, like greenery and steel and earth and water, etc., dreams. I gotta say that my favorite character from it's Zephyl, and if I was ever going to try to cosplay and I could lose the weight, I would definitely try to play Zephyl in a cosplay. He's probably one of the, actually, in my opinion, one of my favorite anime male characters. So, and for those who are saying, ew, gross, reverse harem, I wouldn't worry about it because there's really very little that's lovey-dovey relationship. It's more about her trying to save this new galaxy that's basically all ice, and the queen of that galaxy is fallen into a deep sleep, and if that galaxy fails, somehow it ends the universe, and she's this chosen one to try to restore the balance. And so it actually makes for a very good story. I wish I could find the second season, but I haven't had any luck in finding the second season yet, even though I know it exists. In fact, even on Wikipedia, it only shows 1 season recorded, but it's got episode lists for the second season, go figure. And the second season was recorded. So, with that said, I would actually rate that 2 thumbs up. It was a very good anime. I enjoyed it, and I do look forward to seeing the second season there, and particularly the progression between Zephyl and Angie. So, the next one is Boku wa Tomodachi ga Sukunai, or in American it's called Haganai. Oh, before I move on, Beloved Angel Angelique is in Japanese only. You have to read it with subtitles. It has not been released in America, and you cannot get the American DVDs here in America. So, back on to Haganai. The first season is now available on Amazon. It's like $35 or whatever. I think the first season was 12 episodes and the second season 14. I thoroughly enjoyed the series. In particular, my favorite character was Yukimura. She's kind of a confused girl who wants to be this samurai guy. She wants to be the ideal guy. And she doesn't seem to be aware that she's a female at all. Like, somehow she can become a man if she tries hard enough. I really liked her character only for the fact that she was so loyal to the main character of the story, and in my opinion, she seemed to be the most down-to-earth and normal of the 6 girls that were possible for the main character. One of them being Kabato, who, this is something I love, is she's got 1 red eye and 1 blue eye, and she's always laughing, and I don't know, I just love her character, but because I don't like lollies for the most part, but I find their characters interesting. I could not be considered a lolicon, but Kabuto is one of the 2 lollies in the show, because she's like 11, and Maria is 10, and she wants to be a nun. And the final episode of the second season, she actually, not final, it might have been second to final, they actually do make her a real sister of the church, and it really has nothing to do on religion. So just because she's a nun, it's more for comic relief, especially since she's got such a foul mouth. She's easily convinced into doing stupid things. Most of the girls are. The other character I want to kind of touch on was Rika, who She's like this genius girl, but she's probably the most extreme pervert I have ever seen for a female character. Um, Everything has to do with erogyny, and most of the series is based around playing video games and learning how to make friends. In fact, in English, it's like, I don't have many friends, or I don't have any friends. And by the end of the series, they start to come to the conclusion they're all friends already, and they just hadn't realized it. And there's an interesting story between Yoshino and the main character. I think that's her name. They were actually old school friends, and they'd spent 10 years apart, and she knew immediately who he was, but he didn't recognize her. And part of the series is how they end up coming to realize that and how it affects their relationships. And then Senna is apparently she's like the daughter of the head of the school and the chairman or whatever, and she is her father is like best friends with the main character's father, and apparently they were promised to each other as children. And now Senna wants him and fell in love with him, and it kind of gets really strange when she professes her love in front of the rest of the neighbors club. I would highly recommend the show to anyone. It's fairly clean other than Rika, and even then it still stays pretty much clean. So I highly recommend that one. It was an excellent anime. I hope there's a third season. The last season was done in 2012, but I've heard that the mangas haven't caught up enough that they can make another season, so I'm hoping in late 2014 or early 2015 that there will be a third season, because the second season kind of left it hanging a bit. The next one I'm going to move on to is Brothers Conflict. I only watched one episode of this. It's got 12 total episodes. It's a reverse harem. The only character I found interesting was the character of Julie, who's a squirrel that only the main character can hear. And the squirrel is hilarious. I love the squirrel. It's too bad it's in such an anime. The premise of the story is the main character, her father, she's a single girl, but her father ends up marrying a woman who's got 13 boys. And the parents are so busy that they can't take care of their kids right, so they basically have a 5-story building with an elevator, and the brothers all live in there, and the main character goes to live, and Julie's afraid that they're all going to be on the prowl for her, and she keeps the squirrel keeps referring to them as a pack of wolves and tries to defend her. And from what I saw from the one episode I saw, the guys are all a bunch of pack of wolves. It could be a rather entertaining story. I didn't like the anime graphic style much of it. As for giving it a rating, I really can't give it any more than like moderate, somewhere in between, undecided. As I said, I've only watched one episode. It could be a very good series, but from what I saw, it's just not my cup of tea, so maybe one day I'll watch the rest of them. But there's so many animes out there, I just wanted to move on to something I found more interesting. Campione is the next one. Loved it. Campione was absolutely fantastic. There's essentially 4 girls that all help him fight these demigods, basically, or old gods that have gone kind of crazy and have decided to start destroying the world. And the Campiones, or the champions in Italian, are basically god slayers, and they call them the Demon King. There's 7 of them, but the main character seems to be the strongest, the one that everybody focuses on, even though he's the newest. He's not bad like the other ones. He treats the girls who follow him very nice. He treats those around him with kindness, and he tries to even treat the gods with kindness. And Athena ends up falling for him and essentially becomes the 5th girl. Even though Athena is old of a god as she should be, she's drawn like a lolly again. But the story is fantastic. I actually had dreams of it for a while. I would highly recommend it because it's only 13 episodes. It's one of the best animes I've watched in quite a long time. Definitely recommend it. It is a lot of action and fighting, and it's great. Moving on, Chaos Head. I just got done watching that one not too long ago. There was 12 episodes of that. There's 6 girls involved, but I would not call it a harem style like the rest of these have been. And yes, these are almost all harem style in this video. Sorry I didn't say that at the beginning. Chaos Head, though, I would not call a harem style. It's more of a psychological thriller, and it has its moments. It was actually a very good show, but it didn't make a heck of a lot of sense until near the end, and it might be worth a rewatch due to the fact that now that I know what's going on from seeing the end, the beginning might make more sense. It deals on the world of delusions and making delusions reality, and I don't want to give too much away, but it was a very, very good series. It did have its gore in it, but I've never gotten offended by cartoon gore. Maybe real life, yes, but this is just cartoon. So, Clannad. It's not actually listed as a harem, but I sort of would call it that because there are a bunch of girls around who all like the main character. I've watched 19 episodes of it so far. I put it on hold because there's 48 episodes. It was at least 2 seasons. And what I saw of it, I enjoyed so much I actually want to purchase it, and I'll watch the rest of it once I actually own it. So I'll have to give that one 2 thumbs up. Definitely worth watching if you haven't seen Clannad already. I can't tell you much about how it progresses because I haven't seen all of it. Next one I'm going on to is Dekap. Dekap, I'm not sure if it's in English or not, or if it's even available on Amazon. It is 3 seasons and 67 episodes. The interesting thing about Dekap is that the episodes are about 15 minutes long, and the end of it is like music videos, etc. They kind of tie it off with some other things. I wasn't a big fan of it. It seems to be too lolly orientated. As in the first episode, there's this girl he obviously really cares for, who happens to be his cousin, but one girl comes to school and claims to be his sister, and she seems to already have an engagement with him. And even though she's supposed to be old enough, she looks like she's 10. She just never grew or whatever. And there are some interesting things about it, particularly the fact that they like spliced in live images here and there. It was kind of interesting. I could be moved to watch that one later on, but at this point I decided to watch 1 episode and pass on, just due to the fact that it didn't seem that interesting to me. So I'll give that a moderate rating because the first episode wasn't bad. Next one is Dat Alive. This has got to be my favorite of all of them I'm telling you about. Dat Alive, again, is not in English. It has to deal with, essentially, I think it's human girls who have merged with spirits, and these spirits create what's called a space quake, which can destroy whole cities or even continents. And this guy, he basically has an ability to save these spirits by sealing their powers with a kiss. And there's several good characters in it. Toka and Katori, who's the sister. And then there's, sorry about the dog barking. And then there's an interesting character named Origami. And at the beginning, she fits the normal standard stalker girl. But as it progresses, she becomes more of just a love interest and doesn't stalk as much. But she's still soft-spoken. And I don't know, I really like her character. She fits along with those who like the stalker girl type. And I don't know. The second season has been announced. And I highly recommend it. It's well worth the watch. It's too bad that we got to deal with subtitles and it is not available in America for sale. You might be able to buy a Japanese import copy, and if you have a way to play it. The one I'm currently watching is called Deers. Deers was back in 2005, and so far I can't say that I really like the series. I do love the character of Nanako, however, due to the fact that one of my friends, real life friends, reminds me of Nanako. It's almost like my friend was turned into an anime, and the character even acts like her, dresses like her, thinks like her. It's just my friend. And so I gotta watch it for that sake. I've watched 6 episodes out of 13 so far. It is interesting. It's just I really do not like the main character. He's just a total prick. And it's interesting though. So I could say it's worth watching for the fact that it's only 13 episodes, and you can knock it out in a day if you really wanted to. Moving on, The Familiar of Zero. Again, this is one I absolutely loved. I'll highly recommend it. I love the fact that this boy from Earth gets dragged into this magical world and becomes a familiar and is treated at first as like a pet that's supposed to obey the master, but he's really a human who doesn't understand what's going on yet. But he ends up becoming this really great person, and you could tell from who he is that you just get attached to him, and you hope that his master, Louise, the Zero, starts to become sympathetic for him and care for him, but she's got this thing of he's a peasant and she's nobility because he doesn't know magic. And I've only seen the first season of this, which was like 12 episodes out of 50 in the course of 3 seasons, I think it was. The thing that I thought was really cool is Tabitha, who kind of acts a stalker girl but has no interest in the main character, is voiced by the same person who did the English version of Rosario Vampire, and that was the character of Misery Shiriaki, who comes across and does the voice of Tabitha. And I just love the fact that immediately I picked that up. And so I'm going to have to watch the next 3 seasons. The thing that really upsets me about The Familiar of Zero is on Amazon it's like $400 a season. And I'm really not going to pay $400 for 12 episodes. That's like, what, like $20 an episode? That's just not worth it. And I don't know how they get off with selling it for that price. They're probably bootlegs and it's not released in America. At least that's what I would figure. The next one is Fairy Tail. This is a hugely successful anime. It's still ongoing. It doesn't seem to have any end. For those who are fans of Rosario Vampire, it could be a reason, possibly, that to think about as to why a 3rd season of Rosario Vampire hasn't been announced and probably will never, besides the fact that the company went out of business. A lot of the voice actors have moved on and done other things. Natsu, the main character of Fairy Tail, which, as I said, was hugely successful, is voiced by the same person who did Sukunai. And given the fact that his voice is not probably so busy, he probably won't be able to come and do the 3rd season, which means they need to find a new voice actor. And I'm sure that a lot of the other voice actors have moved on and gotten themselves into something. They may have been using a voice acting troupe in Japan. That group could have broken up, and now they have to find all new voice actors. It's unlikely we'll ever see that. Rita, would you care to join me at this point? Sorry, I wanted Rita to join on the final 2 here because she watched them, and I've seen them quite a while ago, but...
I'm in severe pain in my knee.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's alright, I was laying there listening to you.
So, the first one that we'll do is Sekirei, which is what we most recently watched. Why don't you give your thoughts on that one?
Well, first of all, I have to say, just as a joke, a fellow friend of ours gave that to Aaron as a Christmas present, and it was wrapped up on Amazon for me.
Yes.
That's one thing that I should have claimed it for myself, since it was supposed to be under...
We figured how it was supposed to be, since the other thing in there, which ended up in my name, ended up something that I would never have wanted. It was a John Wayne box set from Batjack Productions, and I am not a fan of John Wayne, and I would never ask for anything from John Wayne, and she bought also our Amazon wish list, so that's how we figured out whose was whose. unless she just was trying to irritate me by getting me something off Rita, so I just give it to Rita. And then give Rita something from mine so that I'd be upset that Rita got something on mine. But I really doubt that's how things worked out. So, the only thing I have to say about it, besides the fact that it was an amazing anime, was the fact that out of all these that I've mentioned so far, it's one of the most perverted. I wouldn't say perverted. It's done tastefully, but there's a lot of bare breasts in it. A lot of them.
I'm going to say it's a very good anime. The only problem I got is
Yes, where is
season 3?
Yes, I'd love to see season 3 myself, and apparently it wasn't very popular, but you go to Amazon and they actually do push that one. You look at a lot of Funimation's programming and animes that they've released, and it tends to be one of the videos that they recommend. It was drawn very well. The storyline was great. I just wish we could see more of it.
I also want to say I am the type that likes the harem style because I find it to be to my liking and to a fantasy, which I know will never happen, but I like to watch these shows and watch the fantasies from my head come to life on anime.
We'll move on to the last one here, and that's Rosario Vampire, which was 2 seasons also, and I wish they'd do a third, and as I mentioned earlier, we're not likely to ever see it.
Or Japan either, because there's a lot of people asking for the 3rd season.
It's probably one of the most asked for of all animes of all time. Unfortunately, the company who did it is out of business. And although they're still being written new mangas all the time, they could end up having somebody else produce it.
However, when it comes to Sekirei and Rosario Vampire, we will be investing in the mangas because we want to keep up with what's going on.
And Rosario Vampire is probably one of the most popular animes that did not make it beyond 2 seasons. In fact, there's such a huge following for it that it's unbelievable. So if you haven't seen that one, I'd highly recommend it. It centers around Sukunai, who's a normal human kid, and his parents want him to go to high school, and a drunk guy drops entrance papers to a high school. So his dad picks him up and says, "You're going to high school," and well, he finds out that it's an academy for people who are monsters to learn how to live with humans. And there are no humans allowed there, though. And so how he got in is kind of surprising. So the story's basic premise is normal guy goes to weird school. And
hold on a sec.
So
I will handle this and then I will come back.
That's about all I got to say about the animes I watched. I definitely recommend watching Rosario Vampire if you haven't seen it. Sekirei if you don't mind a lot of breasts in it, but it is not pornographic. It is not actually truly perverted. The breasts are kind of more there for comic relief. And for those guys who just, strange guys. I'd recommend The Familiar of Zero and To Love Ru. I'd recommend Dat Alive, and I'd recommend Campione and Haganai. So, the rest of those, it's up to you. For an old friend who might be watching this, definitely check out beloved Angel Angelique. I mentioned it to somebody else to pass on to you, but I think it's one that you'd really like, and it's very clean and very entertaining. And if you happen to find the 2nd season, that's great.
I just wanted to say that with me liking harem style only, and there's only certain ones so far that I like that I'm buying, I would have to recommend, and I will say this, Rosario Vampire. It's just funny and clean and humorous. I also want to say that Sekirei was really good and I enjoyed it. The 3rd anime I'm going to recommend that isn't on his list is I Might Me Strawberry Eggs.
Yes, that's not really a harem, though.
It doesn't matter. And finally, the other one that I recommend is Angel Beats. Great. And the 5th one that I've seen, and you be quiet on this, is Heaven's Lost Property. That is pure humor.
That is a harem style, and I have not put that down here because we haven't watched it for 2 years roughly. We still need to get Forte. And I figure
Forte
we'll get
season
Forte
2
fairly soon, which is the second season. And when we watch Forte, we'll watch the other one to catch back up with it and remind ourselves of it. And so we should be doing that one soon. Anyways, I'm going to continue watching Harem Styles. Mainly because I'm watching them for her benefit, because I enjoy watching animes with somebody else, and I don't want her wasting her money buying a bunch of crappy harem style. If she bought Brothers Conflict, we wouldn't have been happy with it.
I wanted to say also before we go, since Aaron's going to be doing anime reviews from time to time, once we get into the mangas, please look for our manga reviews as well of some of these follow-ups.
Yes, it might take a while because a lot of mangas are between $7 and $15 new, and sometimes there's like 26 volumes, so it might take us a while to actually acquire a lot of them, enough to actually review them.
Yes.
So, unless I can find a place that has mangas online free and has the ones I want to see. Another one I'd recommend from Harem Style is Camphor, which also is not listed as a harem style. It's kind of too odd to be considered that, but it is at the same time. So, Camphor I'd highly recommend too, but it's been like 3 years since I saw that. The second season was announced and I've never seen it come out.
Please add and subscribe if you like. Please post comments in the box. Please add suggestions. And
thank you for watching.
And rambled on long enough.
Yep.
May God bless the world.